Beneath the streets of Vienna lies a place where an empire still rests. Not metaphorically, but physically. Deep below the Capuchin Church, in a labyrinth of stone chambers, there lie the remains of the most powerful dynasty in Europe, the Habsburgs. More than 140 emperors, empresses, princes, and archdukes were laid to rest here. But the Capuchin Crypt is not just a burial place. It is a monument to power, mortality, and a very peculiar imperial tradition. Because when the Habsburg died, they were not buried whole. Their body was separated. Their heart buried elsewhere. Their organs placed in another tomb. And only then did the coffin descend into the crypt. This is the story of the empire beneath Vienna. Welcome to Of Mountains and Men, where we explore documented myths, mysteries, and legends of the Alps and beyond. Tonight, we descend beneath Vienna. Capuchin Crypt lies beneath the Capuchin Church on Neuer Markt, in the heart of Vienna's old town. Construction began in 1618, when Empress Anna of Tyrol and her husband, Emperor Matthias, ordered the construction of a burial site for the Habsburg dynasty. The Capuchin monks were entrusted with the church, and beneath it, a vault was carved into the earth. What began as a modest burial chamber slowly expanded over centuries. Every generation of the Habsburg dynasty added new halls, corridors, and tomb chambers. By the time the monarchy ended in 1918, the crypt had become an underground city of the dead. Today, it contains over 140 members of the imperial family, including emperors, empresses, and heirs to the throne. Each coffin tells a story. Some are simple. Others are elaborate works of art, adorned with skulls, crowns, and imperial symbols. Walking through the crypt is less like entering a cemetery, and more like stepping into the memory of an entire empire. The Habsburgs practice a unique burial tradition known as separate burial. After death, the body was divided into 3 parts. The body was buried in the Capuchin Crypt. The heart was placed in silver urns in the Augustinian Church. And the internal organs were buried in the Ducal Crypt near St. Stephen's Cathedral. This ritual symbolized devotion to God, to the dynasty, and to Vienna itself. But it also created a strange reality. A Habsburg emperor might rest in 3 different places across the city. Visitors walking through Vienna today unknowingly past the resting places of imperial hearts and organs scattered across its churches. And so, the empire was literally embedded in the city. The funeral ceremonies themselves were elaborate imperial rituals. When a Habsburg died, the coffin was carried through Vienna in a solemn procession. Nobles, clergy, and soldiers accompanied the cortege through the streets of the capital. But the most symbolic moment occurred at the entrance to the Capuchin Crypt. According to tradition, the chamberlain knocked on the door. From inside, a monk asked, "Who requests entry?" The chamberlain announced the titles of the deceased emperor in full, all honors and ranks. The monk answered, "We do not know him." A second time, the chamberlain knocked, repeating but few titles. Again, the answer came, "We do not know him." Only when the chamberlain finally said, "A poor sinner seeks entry," then the door did open. In death, even emperors entered the crypt not as rulers, but as human beings. In 1918, after the First World War, the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed. The imperial family fled Vienna. For the first time in centuries, the dynasty that had shaped Central Europe no longer ruled. But the crypt remained, and new burials continued even after the monarchy ended. Members of the Habsburg family are still interred there today. The last burial took place as recently as the 21st century. The empire may be gone, but its dead remain beneath Vienna. Today, visitors can descend into the Capuchin Crypt. The air is cool and still. Rows of coffins stretch through the vaulted halls. Bronze skulls stare from ornate lids. Imperial crowns and coats of arms decorate the tombs. It is not a haunted place in the traditional sense, but it does carry the weight of history. An empire that once ruled half of Europe now rests in silence beneath a quiet Viennese square. Empires rise, empires fall. But beneath Vienna, the Habsburgs remain. Not as rulers, not as legends, but as witnesses to the passing of time. If you walk across Neuer Markt in Vienna today, you might never notice what lies beneath your feet. But below the stone streets, an empire still sleeps.